It's time to hear from the dumb jock in the hoodie. It's also a little scary to be up here. I've always been pretty nervous about public speaking, going way back, and I probably will be, but I'm here. I've done it before. I'll do it again, I'm sure. It's good to do things you're scared of sometimes. See how they turn out. I've also played in a few gold medal games at the Paralympics in front of 10,000 people where everyone was counting on me to play well and to come through. And that was also pretty scary. Exciting, yes, but also scary. However, when I look back on my life, there is one moment that stands out to me as maybe the scariest, I'm not going to say maybe, as the scariest moment of my life. And it was the first day of 9th grade. And I know what you're saying. Yeah, it's everybody. What's so unique about you? Well, I was scared in a unique way. And it really, truly was a turning point in my life. So I want to tell you about that, but we got to go back a little bit. So I won those gold medals for Canada. Anybody? Oh, yes. In other words, I'm not from here. I was born in Edmonton, Alberta, grew up in small town Canada. I'm one of 7 kids. The 5th of 7, my parents, raised 7 kids. They're not basketball players. You could think of them as endurance athletes, perhaps. I was the 5th, as I said, just happy to slip through the cracks, just find me up a tree with a hockey stick in my hand, playing sports, at the piano, singing songs. I had what felt like a pretty normal childhood, a happy one. The normal part, though, went out the window when I was 9 years old, not just for me, but for my whole family. But I was hanging out with my best friend, and someone lost control of the car that they were driving home from the bar. They were drunk, and lost control of the car and ran into me, and I got pinned between the car and a house. The paramedics came in and extracted me from the situation into the ambulance, and we raced down to Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto, went into surgery, and I woke up a few days later in the hospital, and I wasn't really warned. I just woke up, and I pulled down the sheets, and my legs were gone. Just white sheets where my legs might have been. And a couple days after that, I turned 10. One of the best birthdays I ever had, by the way. I got a Nintendo. I got a Walkman. Remember those? I got Batman gear, all this clothing, Batman hat. It was actually a pretty fun day. However, there were light and moments in the hospital, but on the whole, it was, as you can imagine, a very hard time. And again, not just for me, but for everyone who loved me, my parents, family, friends. Very difficult time, and I spent a month and a half in the hospital and went home to a big, heavy hospital wheelchair that's an adult had to push me around, in the playground and at school, and it was just a time of a lot of pain, and I'd lost my legs, I'd lost my independence, I'd lost sports, I'd lost my sense of being a normal kid, just wanted to get by. It was really, really hard. However, a great mercy. My parents found out about a wheelchair sports camp just about a year after my accident, and so I went to this wheelchair sports camp, and I remember the very first time I played wheelchair basketball. It was a sunny day like it was earlier today, and we were outside eating lunch, and then I came in early to the gym, and it was dark. They hadn't turned the lights on yet, so it took a moment for my eyes to adjust. And when I did, there were these little hoops set up around the gym, and there were balls lying on the ground. It's like right out of a sports movie. And I wheeled over, and I picked one up. Mind you, by this time, I'd got my own wheelchair. Not like a sports chair, but something a little bit that I could move, and I was starting to regain a bit of my independence. And so I picked up the ball, and I went, took a shot, and went in. I thought that felt good, so I got the ball, and I did a little loop, and I went around and took another shot. Little hoops, by the way. That one went in. So now I'm getting into it. So now I take my little Batman hat and flip that around and get some speed going, and I hit another shot. Anyway, I was hooked. I had a blast all weekend, flying around. Finally, instead of me chasing my friends around town, other kids were chasing me around the court. I was leading the pack. It was amazing. And on the Sunday, the final day of the camp, the older guys, the coaches, a couple of whom are former Paralympians, they took me down to the big hoop. and they threw me a ball, and they said, why don't you try, taking a shot on this? And so, I looked up. It was like 100 feet in the air. And I took the ball, and I just threw it up as hard as I could, and it just barely cleared the rim and dropped in. And they're like, oh, very good. So maybe someday you work hard, you might represent Canada at the Paralympics. I was like, someday, sign me up, let's go. So I left. I was a new man. I went home, and you'd think, okay, he's good. This kid, poor kid, he got, slammed down to the mat, but he got up and saved by wheelchair basketball. Well, not quite that simple. That's not how life often works. Because I really, really, really missed my legs. And everything that meant for me, from sports to feeling normal and everything else. So I needed some legs, so I went and got them. Now, you don't get those off the shelf. You go see a prosthetist, they fit you. A lot of sessions in the basement of the hospital doing PT, and then parallel bars, and then a walker, and then crutches. It's a long sort of process. But eventually I learned to walk. And that was great, but, walking's boring. I didn't want who wants to walk? I wanted to run, I wanted to skate, I wanted to jump, I wanted to climb trees. And the problem was, I have really short stumps and I have a lot of scar tissue. So these legs that I had, for one, they didn't work very well. They're like Kermit the Frog, just like little legs sort of dangling there. And so they were clunky and they hurt. They're uncomfortable. So clunky legs that hurt, is a bad combination for playing sports. Not that stopped me from trying. I tried to skate, tried cross-country skiing, playing tennis, running, the whole thing. And it was just disappointment and failure, one after the other. And so not only that, but there was also an element of fear because I got into this place where I wouldn't let anyone besides my best friends and my close family see me without the prosthetic legs on. So this is sort of 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade. For over 2 years of my life, I wouldn't let anyone see me without these legs on. So I still needed my wheelchair to get around, but I would always wear my legs, pants, if I could help it, and protected that as much as I could. And it's just like, nothing to see here. I'm just a normal kid. And that fear followed me to wheelchair basketball once. See, wheelchair basketball was the one place where I actually felt kind of comfortable in my own skin. I would go once a week, and it was a different group of kids in a different town, and I was very comfortable there without my legs on playing basketball. But this one time I thought, I need my legs there too. And so for the first time, I wore my prosthetic legs to practice. So I came into the gym wearing my prosthetic legs in my wheelchair, took my jacket off, wheeled onto the court, picked up a ball, started warming up. And people noticed. And my coach, Jeff, also noticed. And very discreetly, he pulled me aside away from the other kids. And he said something to me. First of all, he said, the legs are great. I'm happy for you. That's awesome. He said, listen to me though, Pat. Out here on the basketball court, those things are only going to weigh you down. He's like, Pat, you have a gift. You have long arms and short legs. Long arms make you tall. Short legs make you light, which makes you fast. It's like, I'm not going to tell you what to do. It's obviously your decision. But if I were you, I would lose the legs. Lose the legs, that's the title. And was it dramatic? I don't know. But it was probably something he'd been working on for a while on me. And I really, through that conversation and that time playing wheelchair basketball, started to see myself the way that Jeff saw me, the way that my teammates saw me. Here I was acting like an injured hockey player. I wasn't an injured hockey player. I was a perfectly healthy wheelchair basketball player. I just needed to see myself that way. And what he was saying, I don't think was, what's the deal with the legs? It's no big deal. Let's move on. It was a big deal, but he was saying, look, you have something to work with, right? He's saying you can make the most of this opportunity, or you can look back and get stuck with what you lost in the past. He's saying, take what you have, make the most of it, and also make the most of what you're missing. You put those two things together, you're off to the races. That cinched it for me on the basketball court. That was the one and only time I ever took my prosthetic legs and played in them at wheelchair basketball. School, however, was another matter, and I needed some stronger stuff than just that pep talk and that affirmation. I took that confidence and I put it in my back pocket, and that I would need, but I needed something stronger. I needed a miracle. I needed an act of God. And hey, this is like Christmas season, right? This is miracle season. This is tidings of comfort and joy, as the song says. My miracle came with some tidings, but there were some bad tidings. It was bad news that I got. It went like this. Between the end of my 8th grade year and the start of 9th grade, I needed new legs. So like legs, like clothes, shoes, you grow out of them, right? So often they would use some of the components or reuse the components. So I needed to get new sockets made, but they needed to reuse the lower parts and the feet, the prosthetic feet. So I had to give up my legs at the start of the summer and get them back. And they said, don't worry about it, we'll have your legs back at the start of grade 9. So good, I timed this just right. The summer I could lay low with my friends or whatever, legs back, we can go on with the pants, and nobody can, just nothing to see here. You know where this is going. Middle of August, I get a call from my prosthetist. He said, I have bad news for you. Your legs are not going to be ready for school. So what were my options? I could have appealed to my parents. I'm a parent. I got 4 kids. You heard earlier, we love our kids and we want to protect them sometimes. And I could appeal to that sense of protectiveness, but they were wiser and I think busier probably, and that wouldn't have got me very far. I also had the option to go to a different school. They had offered to send me to a more wheelchair accessible school or different kids, and I could have made an end run that way. But I think something about that experience that was sinking in on the basketball court was giving me a little bit more confidence, and I think somewhere I just knew that I had to face this thing, and I didn't really have a choice anyway. So, first day grade 9, I got wheeled up, in front of the school, big doors, 9 a.m. I took a big breath, opened the doors, and went in. And guess what happened? Nothing, really. Thank God, literally. No earthquake. The ceiling didn't start to cave in. I just held my breath and I wheeled through the hallway and found my locker, and then I went to first period and then second period. And the bell rang at the end of the day, and I finally exhaled, and I thought, wow, this is going to be okay, maybe. Just to make sure that lesson sunk in, because, I could have got my legs back that night and put them on and gone back to the way things were. Actually, I didn't get my legs back to the middle of October. So God, who sent me that miracle, sent me a tailor-made one to get me over the hump. So every day for 6 weeks, I had to take that big breath and go in the door of the school and face that. But it got a little bit easier every time. And by the end of that 6 weeks, it was over. It was behind me. Was all my adversity and grade 9 self-consciousness and stress and all that over? Of course not. But that particular weight, that particular monkey on my back, that burden was lifted. And it was a real mercy. Often that's just, that blessing wasn't, it was perfectly incomplete. It was perfect for what I needed to move forward in my life at that time. So I'm going to close now, and if you're facing, let's not say if, let's say when, you're facing adversity, you feel stuck, you feel sort of trapped like I felt, let me just offer 2 thoughts. One, it takes community. Like my wheelchair basketball team, it's the place where where people knew each other, trusted each other, and could challenge each other. It was a place where someone could help me identify a way forward, even when it was sort of staring me in the face. It takes community and those around us who know us to help us. Second thing is, just don't forget, blessings often come in disguise. On the other side of that adversity, the other side of fear, maybe even on the other side of pain, there could be a blessing there. I'm not saying there is for sure. I'm not up here to say every cloud is a silver lining. Sometimes no, I don't know. But maybe, right? So have hope. Take a deep breath. And, if you're looking back, you're stuck in the past, you're carrying a burden, lose the legs. Make the most of what you have and the most of what you're missing. Thank you.